As we head east into Galilee and the land of Naphtali, we pass the Horns of Hattin, where Salah ad-Din defeated the Crusaders, and some think Yeshua gave his Sermon on the Mount. Others prefer a spot by the Sea of Galilee that forms a natural amphitheater. In any case, Yeshua spent a lot of time at this lake. Seeing what he saw so often can help us understand his perspective more clearly. When he said his disciples would be fishers of men, Yeshua was alluding to a prophecy in Jeremiah 16, which says that Yahweh would send fishermen to bring back to the land Israelites whom he had cast out, but whose whereabouts he'd always kept tabs on. A boat of the type most commonly used in his day was found at Gennesaret in 1985 when the lake level was down. As we disembark there, as Yeshua did, the most prominent landmark is the Arbel. A climb to the top gives us an excellent overview of the Sea of Galilee, Israel's largest freshwater lake. It's called the Kinneret in Hebrew because it's shaped like a kinnur, or harp. Magdala, the fisherman's tower, was the home of Mary the Magdalene, about whom there is much speculation. We do know for sure that Capharnaum was a lakeshore town that Yeshua made his headquarters. The synagogue we can see now in Capharnaum was built in the 2nd century, but it's right on top of the one that was Yeshua's custom to attend on the Sabbath. The 1st century structure is the part that is made of volcanic black basalt. It's commonly thought that the fishermen Yeshua made his students were impoverished laborers, but a stone's throw away from the synagogue is what is likely the home of Kepha, or Simon Peter, and it's quite elaborate. If it was this close to the lake and the synagogue, it means his father was a prominent citizen with a thriving fishing business. See how much it helps to actually be right on site where he lived? Other misconceptions are just the result of having a translation of a translation. In Capharnaum synagogue, we find an example of the seat of Moses, where Yeshua said the Pharisees sat. The Greek New Testament says, "Do as they say, but not as they do." But that's right before he lights into a scathing tirade about how they're misleading the people by putting religion ahead of the needs of those they're responsible for. It makes a lot more sense when we get all the way back to how he actually said it, because an earlier Hebrew version of Matthew says, "They sit in Moses' seat, so do what he says, not what they do." Another of his statements that's much less puzzling when you see the geographical context is found on the Golan Heights, known in the scripture as Bashan. Caesarea Philippi, another city built by Herod the Great, boasted a temple to a Roman deity. This cave was thought to be one of the entrances to the underworld. It was here that Kepha affirmed that Yeshua was indeed the Messiah, and Yeshua specifically said that the gates of Hades would not prevail against the community that he was calling back from among the idolatrous nations. From Mount Hermon flowed tributaries that feed the Yarden River, so vital to Israel's survival. Did you expect to find scenes like this in the Middle East? And where else can you see palm trees and a snow-capped mountain at the same time? The city of Dan thrived here at Israel's northern entrance because of the abundance of water, where caravans traveling the only easy route from Mesopotamia to Egypt could stop. After the kingdom split, King Jeroboam was afraid that if his subjects kept going to Jerusalem 3 times a year as Yahweh had commanded, their hearts might again become loyal to Yehuda, now his rival kingdom. So he set up 2 alternative worship sites. For one of them, he chose this attractive resort town in the mountains, so his subjects would be eager to come here instead.
That's too much for you to have to go to Jerusalem. We'll build you an altar, and you can do your business right here. The house of David wants to tell you how to live your life. Stay here.
It's one thing for archaeologists to verify that Jeroboam actually did build that altar to the golden calf at Dan. It's quite another to actually do something to remedy the guilt our ancestors incurred right there.
We think that there's some words that need to be said up here, and some things that were broken that need to be fixed that took place right where that altar, a representation of the altar is. Take words with you and return to Yahweh and say to him,
Nor shall we any longer call the work of our hands our Elohim.
This repudiation of the wrong altar took place during Hanukkah, when we celebrate the rededication of the altar Yahweh did approve of.
I think in turning our back on one altar, we had a little stronger toward the other.
Moses gave the Golan to the tribe of Manasseh. The clan of Machir in particular, who were known for their skill in battle. As we come back down from the heights, it's easy to see how strategic they are, because those mountains on the not-so-far side are in Lebanon. It highlights how vulnerable this tiny nation is with only one tribe to defend it, instead of 12. If Israel gave the high ground back to Syria, which also supports Hezbollah terrorists in Lebanon, the beautiful towns in the narrow Hulay Valley and along the Kinneret would again have no defense from either side. As we head back toward the Kinneret, we'll drive right through the middle of Hatzor, which is 10 times as big as most of the other tells in Israel. Guarding a well-watered pass on the main north-south route, Hatzor was the head of 13 Canaanite kingdoms before Yehoshua conquered it. King Solomon later fortified it with moats 48 feet across, keeping enemies at an even greater distance. And now we're back at where the Yarden River feeds into the Kinneret, Israel's most important source of fresh water.